I think I heard I'm online or something. All right. In terms of process and transparency, the board is led by a chair and a vice chair who normally kicks in when the chair is not present or the chair decides to quickly take a leak and go to the loo. Both are elected for a one-year term. There is no limit to re-election. I guess the only limit is if members don't return them to the board. Board decisions are all via resolutions, and all board resolutions have been published since the inception of Afrinic. It's there on the website. Much recently, in November 2014, the board took a resolution to henceforth publish all minutes. And so all minutes of board meetings are now available online at the URL in this report. The board held a strategic retreat in Mauritius between 6th and 8th July last year. And during that retreat, the chair and vice chair were returned for another term of 1 year. And the board also reviewed the Afrinic Strategic Plan 2014 to 2018, brainstormed and produced the strategic document for the period 2016 to 2020. In terms of activities, between July and December 2016, the board held 6 meetings. 1 was face-to-face, 5 were via teleconference. There was a retreat in Mauritius, and 35 resolutions were taken. 2 meetings held in July. We had 7 resolutions, 6 meetings in August. 1 meeting in August and 6 resolutions. We made 8 resolutions in October, 11 resolutions in November, and just 3 resolutions in December, perhaps because of the holidays and the mood. Between January and June 2017, we also had 4 meetings, 1 face-to-face, 3 teleconference. We had 25 resolutions, 8 in February, 6 in April. May last month, we had 2 meetings and 11 resolutions. We have a retreat planned to hold just before ICANN 59 in Johannesburg. In terms of attendance, for the period 2016, though we had 6 meetings, just 4 people missed meetings. The chair missed a meeting in December, holiday blues. Christian missed a meeting in October. Lucky also was in the holiday mood, and Chris missed looks 2, but that was because there were 2 consecutive meetings, 2 days apart in July. No board member misses meetings without adequate apology. In 2017, we only have 3 members not make the 4 meetings that we held. Andrew and Lucky missed the 15th February meeting, and Abibu missed the 19th April meeting. In terms of achievement, this board has been able to bring some financial stability into the organization and lay a foundation for long-term sustainability of Afrinic. We continuously increase our reserves towards achieving a minimum of 2 years operational viability. So we want to have cash reserve that covers 2 years operational expenses. And we are working very hard towards that. By the time you take reports from both the audit committee and the finance committee, you'll see how far we have gone. We also were able to achieve a review of the bylaw, which led to the special general meeting that we had last year, November, and the bylaw reviews, as you can see in the minutes we took earlier that had over 19 pages. We also created the governance committee, which is now 5 months old, and they have taken 2 key things to focus on, and I'm sure they are in the forming stage now. By the time they get into the norming stage, you would see great output from them. We also, as a board, reviewed the Afrinic strategic document, which is now a guide for the board and management in the management of the affairs of the company. We introduced the Afrinic Community Code of Conduct. We will not hesitate to enforce, but we still continue to trust the community to study it, to understand it, and to abide by it. Of course, we conveyed that special general meeting in November last year, and we have registered that bylaw that you approved. So it's now registered with the Registrar of Companies in Mauritius. It's a legal document, it's binding, and we also have gotten the legal advisor to be at all our board meetings, which makes it very, very easy for taking decisions that have legal implications, because now we cut out the iteration of having to go back to the legal advisor, consult, and come back to take decisions. This has been very, very useful, and we are happy that we did this. The bylaw changes that were done was as a result of the accountability review assessment that we also pushed through in early 2016. And of course, the special general members meeting followed, and during the meeting, membership voted on whether to accept or reject some of the proposals. It's interesting that some proposals made very, very great sense, but somehow those proposals were rejected. For example, there were places where the board was saying, looks like the board is too powerful. Let the community take some of the power. But the community again returned the power in full back to the board. These are the type of things that the governance committee is now trying to look at to be able to advise the community to say, hey, community, it's not a booby trap. It's not a setup by the board. It's just one of those normal things you should consider. So thank you, Governance Committee, for taking that up. And of course, those things that you decided were reflected and changed, so we now have a 2016 bylaw instead of the 2013 bylaw that we had operated till now. May I apologize at this stage that this is not yet in printed form, but as soon as it's in printed form, it will be circulated to members. But there is the plan of management to make printed versions and PDF versions that you can easily refer to. And as I said, the new bylaw has been registered. One of our achievements also as a board is budget accuracy. Now we ensure that we do not, as much as possible, we make far more than what we budget for every year, and we also ensure that we spend less, as much lower than what we budgeted for every year. And you can see the graphs. You can see the red is our income, and you can see that year in, year out, our income has been on the increase. The blue is our expenditure accuracy. You see we are not spending as much as what we budget, and in fact, this last year we're reporting the gap has seriously widened more. So management is doing quite a lot to keep costs down, responding to the stimulus of the board. And for this, we are grateful for management and the staff who ensure that Afrinic continues to cut its coat according to its size. And of course, the yellow shows the surplus. And you can see we have very good surplus because of all these controls that are in place. And of course, if you look at the variance in this financial surplus, what we are looking at here is what did we budget as a surplus, which is the difference between what we budgeted and what we actually spent. Those surpluses, if you also look at the trend, you see we came back from position of losses in those previous 3 years, and we crossed the zero mark for both actual in terms of accuracy. So we ensure that we always have a surplus, both in budget and in actual. We have some work in progress. The first is that we are looking at reviewing the fees. By the new bylaw, we are mandated to bring our proposal to you members to comment upon over a 60-day period, contrary to the previous bylaw that made us emperors. We could change the fees at will, but now we have to consult you. And indeed, the committee that is working on the fee review also has members, and the chair of the committee would give you an update. We're working on a review of the HR in terms of structure and compensation. There's also a committee charged with that. I mentioned earlier that, there is not a separate committee doing that. I should correct myself. It's the compensation committee of the board, which is a statutory standing committee that is working on that. The review of MOU is ongoing. The associate membership review is also ongoing. And we're committed as a board to using best practices in corporate governance. And part of our strategic tactic for achieving this is to benchmark with our colleagues from other regional registries. So tomorrow, we'll be having a meeting with the APNIC board, and we have a very long agenda. My apologies to the APNIC crew. They may not be able to see a lot of Nairobi, because I estimate we'll be doing quite a lot of work, but we agree it's good for the two registries, and we are committed to this type of bilateral working relationships. We also will be having the same type of sit and walk with the ICANN board when we meet later this month in Johannesburg. I guess the next slide is Asante. Thank you. Thank you. Members, do we want to discuss the board update, or we take all the other updates and we can discuss them together? How do you want us to do it? Yes, Fiona.
Mr. Chairman, I'll answer your question by also just a quick observation. We are sitting mixed up, non-members. And normally, we have the members sitting in one seat so that it's easy to know who you're addressing. Oh, okay, sorry. Then I rest. How do you want to go about it? I think it will be good if we can receive all the reports, because I believe the reports of the other committees will build onto yours. Then we can ask questions so that we don't preempt what you want to present. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we'll proceed with the business and we'll discuss everything together. So I invite Alan Barrett.
Okay, good afternoon. I'm Alan Barrett, CEO of AfriNIC. Can I have my slides up, please? I see they're on the big screen, not the small screen. Okay, thank you. Okay, so AfriNIC is the regional internet registry serving Africa. We serve the entire continent of Africa, including the Indian Ocean Islands, so that's 56 economies. Our headquarters are in Mauritius, and we currently have 46 staff from 12 countries. Our membership keeps on growing. Here's a graph where you can see the membership growth from just about 200 when we started 10 years ago to 1,500 today. We actually signed up our 1,500th member yesterday. We keep on distributing IPv4 and IPv6 and AS number resources. This graph shows the total amount of IPv4 resources distributed throughout history. And right now, we've distributed about, I think it's 6.02/8s. We have an inventory of about 0.76/8s available. And we have some reserved space. So we're in the soft landing phase 1. On IPv6, this graph is a little disappointing in the early years. You can see very, very little for the first 4 years, but then it increased. And the graph shows the number of allocations. Some of them are /48s to end users. Some of them are /32s to internet service providers. And some of them are larger. I think the largest one has been a /20 to an extra large LIR member. So this year we've distributed 106 IPv6 prefixes. And throughout history we've distributed 672. Sorry, 572. Hello. Okay. AS numbers, throughout history, we've distributed about 1,400 AS numbers, and in 2016, 170. So that's also growing. Sorry, I might have pressed the wrong button there. I don't know what's happened. Okay, I'm back. Right. So our membership continues to grow, as you saw on a few graphs. We have a commitment to helping our members, and we've organized several outreach events throughout the continent. So we go to places often where other events are also being held. So we send a few staff to go to some other event to set up a little table or a side room where AfriNIC can meet people. We have a commitment to improve the accuracy of our WHOIS database. And so for that, we are contacting all our members to ask them to verify that their details are accurate, and if not, to correct them. We'll be stepping that up in July. Our target is to reach 100% of our members during the year 2017. In the past, we've done things like reach 40% of our members every year, but this year we want to make it 100%. Okay. Okay. I think I got the right slide. These buttons are not labeled visibly. I don't know which is forward, which is back. Okay.
Who did this to Alan?
I don't know. I need help, please. Someone tell me which button is forward and which button is backwards and which button is off. Well,
Can someone stop the counting, the countdown clock? It's
okay. Part of the problem is when I click, it doesn't always change, or it changes 3 seconds later. Okay, thank you very much for bearing with me there. Okay, so one of the things we've done recently is we've improved our payment portal. You can pay by credit card. No, that's fine. And in the past, if you wanted to pay by credit card, you would have to pay the full outstanding amount. We've changed that now, so if you need to split your payment over multiple credit cards, split your payment over multiple months, but still pay by card, you can do that. We are thinking about implementing a Who Was service to give a historical perspective of what was in Who Is in past history.